Welcome to the Life Doula Podcast, where we talk about the things most people avoid: cancer, grief, dying, and the radical act of healing. We hold space for healing, not just surviving. Is there a right way to say goodbye? What if the most powerful lesson someone leaves behind is how they chose to live? Today's episode is a deeply personal one. My guest is a daughter of two physicians, her late mother, a brilliant medical oncologist, and her father, a respected pulmonologist. And she herself is now on her path in medicine. But this is not just a story about the medical world. This is a story about a mother who, when faced with a decision to undergo another round of aggressive, toxic chemotherapy, chose instead to live, to travel, to laugh, to savor time with her family. This is also a story about a daughter grieving, becoming, honoring, and healing. We explore what it means to hold grief in one hand and gratitude in the other. What it means to step into a calling when the very person who inspired it is no longer here. And what it means to allow joy back in, not as a betrayal, but as a beautiful continuation. Steffi, thank you. But first, congratulations for
Thank
passing
you.
the board. So, what have you been doing other than your travels in Africa?
Well, since I passed the boards, it's been pretty stable and quiet. It's more of been just adjusting and working on things at home, um, more traveling, I guess, and working on other hobbies photography and everything.
I told you earlier, enjoy the quiet before, work starts. There's no way we can begin this podcast without talking about mom. Mom is Dr. Boots de Guzman Francisco, a medical oncologist, a dear friend. So what was mom like as a mom?
Okay, I guess first I can say that since I was a kid, she's been very, very type A. I also
Type A
mentioned this
talaga.
during my eulogy, but basically she just had everything together, like not just for herself, but for me, for my dad. She kind of kept the household together with all her responsibilities, and she's the type na parang she had a solution for every problem, like not just her own but also ours. Before we even knew that there was a problem, nasolve na niya. Like before
Wow.
things even become problems, like she already solved. She would have already have solved it by that time. And she just basically like my cousin and I were talking earlier. She's basically like a machine with a big heart.
A machine with a big
Yeah,
heart.
she's very efficient and she just has everything together.
Everyone who knew your mom as a friend, as a colleague, knew that she was brilliant. I mean, really smart, brilliant. Were her standards in school for you very high? Like, did you have to attain certain grades? Did you feel that pressure?
Actually, in hindsight, not so much. She was like really smart, and she was valedictorian. She was summa cum laude, and she got all these medals. Pero I don't think she ever put that sort of pressure on me. She kind of just like encouraged me to wanna do well on my own.
Steffi, when your mother was faced with the option of undergoing another harsh round of chemotherapy, because I know she has a tendency to shield you on things that are hard. Parang she would tend to tell you about it pag may solution na. But when you found out that she chose quality of life over very harsh, toxic chemo drugs, what type of conversation did you have with her?
It's very short. It was straight to the point because parang at that point I already knew that I just wanted it to be up to her, whatever she wanted. And like obviously who would know better like for herself because like she's an oncologist na tapos she's the patient pa and she knows the drugs and the quality of life that each drug would offer and basically like the side effects of all the drugs like more than any of us. So it was a pretty straightforward conversation. I didn't really like ask, oh, but what if like that or what if like that, because she laid it all out for me. But you're right that she did tend to shield things from me, especially at the start. But it came to a point that I asked her, like, when things like this happen or when you have these tests done and you find out the results, like regardless of whether it's good or bad, like tell me first, like, well, I
Yeah.
mean, or like,
She told me that. At least
yeah,
I think our conversation was Steffi wants to be one of the first two people to know about the results. This whole process of your mom making a choice, did that change your view of the role of the doctor and what healing really means?
I would say so, yes, because maybe at the start when I was just starting out with school and like, training in the hospital, like of course, like in a government hospital, you'd have a pretty large patient load, so you get a bit desensitized, and eventually, like going to duties would just feel like just another day for you. And I feel like seeing my mom go through everything that she did kind of made me see things from the other side. In a sense, I felt like I wanted to connect more with the patients and I wanted to be able to siguro ease their mind rin because like maybe for us it's just another day, but then after seeing my mom and seeing her go through all of the side effects and complications of her treatment and all of the procedures and whatnot, it's like it's just another day for you, but it could be the worst day of their lives.
Yeah.
Also, like seeing, if I remember correctly, my mom also helped counsel some of your patients.
Yes.
Yeah, and she was offering advice about which drugs to take,
Yes.
which would offer them a better quality of life as compared to the more aggressive drugs, which might give more side effects.
Yes.
I feel like that also made an impact, like on how I saw like going to duties and everything, especially recently, because it made me want to think like, oh, it's not just like the disease that you're trying to like target, but it's also like
Person.
yeah, the person, and it's not just like the physical aspects of the disease, but also like their emotional well-being, their mental well-being, and how they take the news and everything.
You know, I have this conversation. I had this conversation with your mom, and she said that if God can give her another chance to be a doctor again, from being a patient to a doctor, she'd be a very different doctor. She would give her patients more options. She would honor their choices because she said, I came from a practice where the doctor knew what needs to be done and we just tell the patient and the patient will just follow. Her being on the other side as a patient made her feel like patients have choices. You have to ask them what's important to them.
Honestly, I was also thinking I can't imagine like that I couldn't really imagine how hard it must have been for her to be like an oncologist and then to also have cancer because she's seen the course of the disease probably hundreds of times. She knows exactly how it ends. She knows all the complications that they can encounter. She knows how hard it is for them. So it's like I remember her telling me that when she would see her patients, it would be like seeing her future. She would always say that it made her so afraid and so scared. But I think she was able to actually like flip it around.
Yes. I think she was able to really tap into her faith,
Yeah.
especially the last 4 years. That made her really reach out to me to say, if there's any patient who needs a second opinion or who's confused, who's still in a crossroad as to what type of treatment they will go for or not go for, I'm very open to talking to them. So your mom became the default second opinion doctor. And patients, parang 100% my patients would follow her advice because she lent more credibility to the situation because she's a doctor and she's a patient.
Yeah, she's
So
patient.
parang the patient trusted her more than the others because she was both a patient and a doctor. You're now a doctor yourself, about to enter residency. How has this whole experience, the past 4 years of your mom's life, shaped the kind of doctor you want to become? The challenge is for the audience sake, Dr. Steffi has decided to really specialize on emergency medicine. Would that give you a chance to have like an impact on people or patients' life? This is me asking you after watching a full season
Of
of
the
The
pit?
Pit.
Well, I guess, yeah, like I mentioned a while ago, it changed my perspective because at first I would be nervous to talk to patients because like, hala, what do I know ba? Like, but then now that so much time has passed and I went through everything with my mom, it makes me really want to connect with them more and like more than just interviewing them and asking for their history or examining them. It's like I also want to know what they think, how they feel. Sometimes I'd make jokes with them to just kind of like
So
ease their
really
anxiety a
getting to
bit.
know the person more than the patient.
Yeah. Well, at least with even with what little time we'd have in the ER because syempre you have to move fast. But I would also think that like what if they don't hala, they won't probably remember so much of it because everything is pretty fast paced. But then I've had a few patients come up to me and say like thank you days after, then they'd give me like mga snacks and food that they'd make on their own. So it like shows me that it really would does have an impact because like usually when patients go to the ER, they think it's like the worst day of their lives. And then if you just try to extend your patience a bit, be a little kinder, even if you make a joke just to ease their anxiety, it really goes a long way.
I know you didn't have a second choice for your specialization. Why ER Med again?
It's a lot of things. Number one, I really like the fast-paced environment. It's exciting and it really keeps me
Exciting.
yeah. And it keeps me like on my feet. I get to work directly like with my hands and I get to do things on my own. And I like that you can really see when you're able to help them like in real time. Like it happens quickly. It's just a personal preference naman. But I also like that it has a pretty good schedule.
Yeah.
And me personally, I have a really short attention span. So it's hard for me to follow very long courses, like in the ward, like especially if the patients have been there for like 80, 90, 100 days. It becomes a bit hard for me to follow. So I guess I also like that the turnover of patients in the ER is pretty fast.
And you don't mind parang everything's urgent. Like, I don't know if this is true in the Philippines, but most of the medical drama series I watch would always say, never ever say, oh, it's slow in the ER
Oh
today.
yeah, yeah.
Is it also true in the country where don't say that because, something's gonna happen? Like, so in most of the medical series that I've watched, ganon, parang don't ever say it's quiet in the ER, it's slow.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Steffi, there was a point in your life where and I think it was all God's timing, no? Na your school was winding down when your mom almost done, no? When your mom was already fully assisted. So you had like, was it 2 months where she was in the hospital?
Yes, we were in the hospital for about 2 months.
2 months. So I've seen you care for your mom. The going around joke, even when your mom was still verbal and she could communicate, was that she said, Steffi really moves fast in terms of dressing her wound and her TPN. And he would she'd always compare you with your dad. Na parang, Norbert is still figuring it out, but Steffi has done it already. So you've really been in the trenches in terms of the care for your mom. The past 2 months, has it changed the way you look at quality of life and the dignity of the whole person during the whole dying process? Has it changed because of your experience taking care of your mom?
Like the 2 months that we were in the hospital, I would say so, yeah. Because usually, right, you would be there as like the companion of the patient or the watcher of the patient. But since like my mom wanted to stay at home as much as possible, there was even a week where she was able to be discharged from the ER and from the ward. So we were taking care of her at home. There were some times that I really felt like the line between being her daughter and being her companion was blurring between the line of like having to be like a doctor and deliver medical care. Because syempre there are sometimes right now you can't avoid that the people on duty are busy or attending to other patients. But then like my dad and I just really wanted to be prompt for her. So there were some times that wherein we would be the ones updating the fellows or the consultants. Especially in the last few days now, she was having a lot of seizures. Like we would be the one to give a heads up na to the nurse na like, oh, you prepared this na, you prepared the
So,
midazole, ganun.
nanggagaling na sa'yo yung direction.
Parang ano lang, like, ganun, like, nudge. Yeah.
I've also heard you appreciate people who took care of your mom.
Oh,
right?
yes,
Like
especially.
because there were constants already
Yeah.
in your room, checking in on her, right? So did you also have a different view about these medical practitioners really getting involved in your lives during the last 2 months of your mom?
Very much so, yes. My mom actually had a favorite nurse who also became our favorite nurse because like we see like what the nurses have to do and it's already a lot, but this nurse, she would really go out of her way. Like when my mom would be crying while we were like resting, she would really stay even after fixing all of her IV drips and her meds. Like she would stay, she would like wipe my mom's face and then she would be like, oh doctora, it's okay, like you'll be okay. Tapos she would do that almost every day. And she would really try to connect with us, connect with her. She never complained about anything. And actually, up until now, I still visit her in the hospital every
Wow.
time I go to.
The Lang Center.
Yeah.
You never really talk about your grief. Well, every now and then, I always initiate. I knew it was hard, but what was harder in terms of grief? Was it right after your mom passed or now? That parang life has gotten back to normal.
I would say the first part, especially the first few months initially after she passed.
Because I think that was a time when you weren't in school, right?
Yeah.
You had more time at home. So you really felt her absence, no?
Yes.
In many things.
Yeah, I feel like I would describe the grief at the time, especially at the start. It was more like harsh and jarring. Like it was always shocking to me. Like there were some days that I could kind of slip my mind that like, oh yeah, she's not around anymore. So like I'd always pass by her room. I'd check if she was home to say hi. Then I'd remember like, oh yeah, she's not around anymore. And then it would just kind of kickstart this whole cascade of events where I have to like grieve her all over again. And then I just have to remember that like, oh yeah, like there are so many things that I have to like pick up.
And this is also the time when you had a cast, right? You were on an air cast, so you were forced to stay
Yeah.
at home, right? We often think of grief and joy as opposites, but they can coexist. When did joy start returning for you, even in small moments?
Actually, I would say that the grief and the joy started even before she died. I can think of a few instances, but one of them that really comes to mind is I would say it was my birthday and we were in the ICU. And at the time, I guess I kind of had a feeling already that it was different this time, that maybe this would be it. And we were in the ICU the night before my birthday, and my dad and I were just like wondering what was happening. But my friends brought me a cake, and then I brought it to her in the ICU because I wanted to make salubong my birthday with her. And then she was still lucid at the time, so she basically just mustered all of her energy that she had left, and she was just telling me like, "Happy birthday," and she started apologizing for all of the things that she said she did. She was just saying, "I hope you know that." She said, "Being your mom has been, is, and always will be the greatest miracle of my life, even after being through all the 7 continents and seeing the 7 wonders of the world, adventurous. But we just had a long conversation that night, and she was telling me like, just be good, and then she made bilin pa, all these places that she wanted me to go to because she wouldn't be able to go anymore. And then shortly after that, we it was another moment, I guess, worth mentioning because I graduated from med in August,
Yes.
but for me, my real graduation was in the ICU.
Yes.
Yeah, like with the help of my mom's friends, somehow we were able to get the chancellor of the school, the dean, the director of the hospital in my mom's room in the ICU. So they all came, and it was funny because I didn't even know how to graduate. I didn't know the steps, like whose hand do I shake.
Yeah.
I was wearing the wrong toga. But everything just fell into place. Like I remember the chancellor was telling me, "Oh, this is how you graduate," and then it just happened. And then right at that moment, my best friend's family came, and then they started playing the graduation march, and it just happened.
And we were trying to look for a photographer, and everyone said, "Oh, but Steph is the photographer." So Steffi had a graduation in the ICU because it was the mother's request. It was the only thing she was really waiting for. So this is behind the scene now. She didn't know exactly when the graduation of Steffi would be, so she would tell me, BFF, change prayer petition. Baka October pa. Tapos sabi ko, okay. Sabi niya, wait. Bago ulit. Baka August. So, change prayer petition na humaba yung buhay ko up to August. Na parang, and kami ni Doc Alex, you were saying, let's just say next year para humaba pa hanggang next year yung life. So, that's how much the mother of Steffi wanted to be there for her during the graduation. So,
And she made it. Like she died. Like she just waited until the day of my actual graduation. And that's when she passed.
yeah. So many things happened. Birthday, graduation, birthday. So truly joy and sadness coexist. You've been traveling. You've been caring for your health. You've been choosing joy despite this huge loss that you have in your life. What helps you stay connected to your mom as you do all of these things?
I would say it's a lot of the big things that she really used to be into, and a lot of the little things also. Like, for example, the traveling. That, like, no one can ever take that away from her. Like, admittedly, for a while, I would use the traveling as an escape when I wasn't ready to deal with my feelings yet. So I was just going everywhere. But then eventually, it catches up to you when you have to face it.
It actually waits.
Yeah, like there's
For
no way
you.
out but through. It followed me to Africa.
It's followed you to Africa. Wow.
And in terms of being healthy, my mom always expressed that she wanted me to live a healthy life. Of course, I was stubborn before. But now that she's gone, I really see like why she wanted it for me, and I've reached the point where I want it for myself. So I've really been working on it,
Wow.
especially because she always tells me like you have to be strong enough so that you can live not just a long life but a happy life and a good life. And even with like all of the milestones, basically, like the question you asked a while ago, it's a mix of happy and sad because I feel happy when I reach, like, for example, when I passed my med boards, I was so happy, but at the same time, I was really sad too. I was crying because I wished that she could be there with me. In fact, when I found out that I passed, I was really sad because I wanted to give her a hug. And I was like crying about it, and then it started raining. I was in the middle of the street in Korea.
I know, you told me about
Yeah,
it.
it started raining, and it felt like she was just crying with me also. And then the next day, I saw maybe 100 butterflies.
She was in Korea when her boards came out, and she was telling me about it. Na parang all of a sudden, bigla na lang umulan. And then the next day, they're like, sabi niya, Tita, there were countless butterflies. I'm sure it was your mom saying,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm
And
part of all of this.
I guess also at the start, like aside from the traveling and the taking care of myself, at the start also, after she died, I couldn't listen to any of her favorite songs
May
because
playlist pa naman yun. Ready na
Yeah.
ready.
all her disco songs, 70s and 80s music, I couldn't listen to them talaga at all because it would just be too painful for me. But now that things have settled, it's the only thing that can actually soothe me when I feel stressed or when I'm like worrying about a lot of things.
I am sure there's so many things that your mom has taught you. But from where you are now, what are the three lessons I think that your mom has either directly or indirectly instilled in you that will affect you that will carry you through your life?
The first thing that I can think of, she's been saying this to me since I was a kid. Like, for whatever small kid problems I had at the time to the more adult and bigger real life problems now, she would always just say, na, if you don't know what to do, just do the next best thing. And I pretty much tell that to myself every day. I even got a tattoo of it.
Really?
Yeah, see. And I really live by those words because, like, especially after she died, there were so many instances where I felt, nah, I don't know what to do next. I don't know what next steps I should take. Like, what should I do? And then she would just make paramdam and be like, yeah, that's what I said, ganon.
Do the next best.
Yeah. Second would probably be the traveling. She's
I was gonna say, maybe that should be the first. Traveling, yeah.
I guess in no particular order naman. Pero the traveling, because she's been bringing me around on her trips since the beginning of
Yeah.
time. Like, I was her buntot, she would pull me out of school to bring her on trips with her, and she would always say na, there are so many things you learn while, like, you're traveling that you can't learn within the classroom. And I still see it. Like, I've formed so many meaningful connections with people. I've experienced a lot of things that I really never would have if I just stayed within my comfort zone here. Third, I guess, would be that life is really short, so you really have to live with no regrets. Like, try everything at least once. Like, you'll never know if something is for you if you don't try it. Just love fully. Don't be afraid to tell people that you love them, like, and then you show it. Because you really never know when it'll be your time. And you have to make the most out of all of the time and like energy you have now. Because she'd always say that her best years, diba, were the last 4 years of her life after she found out that her cancer recurred.
You know, Antarctica was never in my list. I always saw it as something that people dream of but would never do. But her mother just kept telling me, you have to go. Even if maubos na yung pera mo, you have to go. It's one of the best places. You will not regret. You will feel closest to God. Parang her voice was here in my head. So 2023, when I decided, I looked at my bank account and I said, I'm gonna blow this and go to Antarctica. Guess who helped me pack, put together stuff, and convinced me not to spend so much on clothes kasi magka-size kami ni Steffi. Sabi niya, don't buy this anymore. We have this. And literally, she moved a whole box of... And winter is a different thing. Antarctica is really different altogether. From gloves and talagang halos I didn't buy anything. She was as excited as if she was the one going. And every day she'd ask me to send her pictures. Every time I would check, how are you? How do you feel? Forget about me, just send me pictures. Ganyan, ganyan. Antarctica happened to me because of Boots. Okay. Steffi, for our listeners who may be grieving for a parent, especially while trying to move forward with their own dreams, exactly where you are, what would you want to tell them? How could they honor the love for their mom or their dad because you're going to pursue your own life. I told you this, right? You would want to have your own life. How can they remain loving, honoring, while grieving for their parent?
I remember you told me this last year, but you said that my mom said that the best way to honor her life would be to live a good one. And, well, it will really be difficult because I remember around this time last year, I felt like I was drowning in a lot of problems in grief, with other stressors in life, and I still had like the med board zooming over me. So I was in a bad place, like for myself, like in terms of like physically, and mentally and emotionally. So I was really thinking to myself, like, maybe if I solve all of these problems one by one, then I'll be happier, or I'll be more content. I even wrote all of them down one by one on the floating lanterns in Taiwan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I listed them all down. But then as I started working on it, I was wondering, on all of them, I was wondering to myself, like, how come I still feel empty? Like, I'm solving all the problems, but I still don't feel fulfilled. I still don't feel happy or contented. And then it took some time for me to realize that being able to move on and feel joy after grief isn't just about eliminating your problems one by one. Because I guess, in a sense, eliminating or solving these problems doesn't automatically bring you like joy or happiness. It just, all it does is it makes space. And if you don't do anything with that, you're left feeling empty. So being able to feel joy and move on while still remembering like our loved ones who have passed, it has to really be like an active effort where you choose to be happy, you choose to do things and learn new things, try new things that can fill in the space that they sort of left behind. Like, of course, they're still here, they never actually leave, but it's not so much a matter of waiting until I feel I've solved all my problems or waiting until I feel better in order for me to feel happy and feel joy. But it's more of learning to allow the joy to come despite feeling the grief and the sadness. It's like being able to find light through the cracks.
And I notice you really choose to live happy for this particular moment. Like, sometimes I joke with you, like, saan ka na naman? Parang ibang background. Parang wala to sa Asia.
Yeah, I think I get
or
that message
something.
from you
So
every month.
you really, that's how you were able to, as you said, allow joy to come in, allow the lights to come in amidst the cracks that grief has left you.
Yeah, like it's not a matter of blocking the grief or the sadness, but you just have to let it happen at the same time.
You know, it's been a year, but I felt like she's grown in many ways, in terms of our conversations. Most of our conversations happen on Facebook Messenger. Steffi, thank you so much for
Thank you.
allowing this conversation to happen. I know your mom is happy looking at you and excited for what the future holds for you. Doc Steffi, thank you for sharing your story with such grace, courage, and love. From your mother's choice to live fully to your own unfolding path, this conversation is a testament that healing is not forgetting, it's remembering with intention. So, listening to her, I have 3 key takeaways. Healing isn't linear, but it is possible. You can laugh, move forward, and still carry your grief in love. The way we die matters, but so does the way we live. Choosing how we spend our final seasons can be the most profound legacy we live. Grief can be a teacher if we let it be. It can soften us, clarify our values, and remind us of what really matters. So here's to the mothers who teach us how to live, even in their dying moments, and to the daughters who keep their fire burning through the lives they built.